Good afternoon, Greg Tinch. How are you today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well, Shawn. How are you?
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thanks for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Uh, I'm humbled that you asked me to be on your podcast. So thank you.
Oh yeah, no worries. And so, uh, Greg, as I mentioned to you, as we getting to know each other and talking about this lending with purpose, our conversations that we have with clients and friends, intros to various forms of information, professionals, and resources that we use, we look for, we never knew existed or wanted to learn more about. And so, I'm going to start on, and Greg, I usually start with a little bit of a story or did you know how to, so to speak. So I have, and I apologize. There we go. I want my phone to ring while we're doing this, but sort of a humble brag, not so humble though. One's a humble brag, the other one's not humble at all. So we'll start with the not so humble brag. The not so humble brag
Yep.
is this right here. George Mason University. I think you went to the Ohio State University for your undergrad, is that right?
Yes, sir.
But you got your JD from the University of Maryland.
I did.
So for you, fortunately for you, last night, my great university, George Mason University, went into the Xfinity Center and we came out with a win against the 20th ranked men's basketball team in college basketball. So that's my not so humble brag today.
Big second half for the Patriots.
Yeah, it was a
It's
big
still early.
no first. Yeah, we're gonna need a good second half of the season, so they have to live up to it. But like we sort of controlled that game the entire game. Like Maryland jumped out to a lead, but they had a great game plan and we came out victorious. It was amazing because you and I met in College Park,
Right.
right? Both of our offices are there. And so I actually I didn't realize until I put the sweatshirt on today. I'm like, I don't care what Greg says. I'm not quite sure how active he is in Maryland sports, but I'm going to brag today. Yeah, about the school. So the not so humble brag. So there's two things that we're related to and have in common based on this story, Greg, is the other thing is I was in my office picking up the mail the other day, and I got this yellow envelope, and it's from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And sometimes it's hard to tell what mail is real or not. And I think I asked you this yesterday. I'm like, is
Yep.
it fake? And so I opened it up, and I pull it out. I wish I brought it down today to show everyone. And there's a seal on it, and then at the top there are three words, and the words say lending with purpose. So somehow, some way, I was able to get lending with purpose trademarked.
Amen.
I was able to get it trademarked, and so it's just an amazing thing that I saw that happen. It was a longer process. Um, uh, I was always thinking about it and hoping that it would go through. Things that I've read, it would be, sometimes it's tough to do and you got to do rebuttals and things like that, or sometimes they just deny you
Yeah.
automatically. But I got through this situation, and then so it was just fitting. After I did that, I was like, who do I know in this space? And then your name just popped up in my head, like, oh, I know a guy. And so that's why we're here today, everybody, is to talk about, patents, trademarks, and copyright. So again, I want to welcome Greg Tench. Greg, I haven't perfected and mastered the skill yet of the introduction. Um, so you're gonna do a much better job than I promise you. So tell us who you are, what you do, and let's get into our conversation.
You did great. First. Second, I am excited for you that you got your trademark registered on the federal trademark register. That's a big deal. So salute. I'm glad that you were thinking about your brand and thinking about how to protect it and enlarge your rights. I'm Greg Tinch. I'm a patent attorney. Um, I run my own IP firm out of College Park, UMD, WeWork. Um, so IP means patents, trademarks, and copyrights. So I help startups, founders, businesses um, really enlarge their rights and their intellectual property by getting copyrights, trademarks, and patents. And then I also help defend the IP in litigation or non-litigation. I also help businesses leverage their rights and leverage their rights. Sorry.
No,
Um, with the transactional aspects of IP. So whether that's like employment agreements, certain clauses in employment agreements to protect your IP from your employees, startup founders should have a like founders assignment agreement in place so that the founders give their IP back to the business and don't just keep it for themselves or like take it when they may leave the business. And licensing assignments of the IP itself, like your trademark certificate. If your business doesn't own it, you can assign it. You can record an assignment so that the business owns the IP itself.
interesting.
So,
All right, I
yeah,
can't wait to talk about that. On top of all of that, Greg, like you are husband and father, right?
I am.
Nice,
So, yeah, I've been married for 8 years,
good.
and to my lovely and more brilliant than me wife. She's also working at home upstairs, but she works for DOJ doing like big deal stuff, litigation. So she's a smart one.
I couldn't imagine the conversations that you have in your household. Then, so y'all talk about iron sharpening iron.
Yeah, we talk about chasing after this 2-year-old baby. We have a 14-year-old too. So, yep,
That's
those are the
awesome.
two. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So it's been great getting a chance to get to know you, and so tell us about that. So like in my world, what did I just accomplish? Right. So um in regards to because when I was telling you when we were talking the other day, when I did lending with purpose, it was before I even started the podcast and everything. I was thinking about naming the company that at one point, and it
Hmm.
just seemed fitting for an organization to be called that. So we wanted to have it to be like a slogan or some sort of a catchphrase or moniker, so to speak, something associated with our business because those three words fit. Um, in my eyes, exactly why we do what we do, because there's got to be purpose behind things. That I feel that in what you do, the reason for why you do something. And so, um, what did we just accomplish by getting this registered? Like, what does that mean?
Right. So I guess one thing is, I said I help people enlarge their rights. So you don't have to register your trademark. Now, as our conversation progresses, I hope it'll become obvious that you should, but you don't have to. You have rights under just state law. They only apply to where you are at regionally, but even if you don't register, you have those like regional rights. So at least in your region, people can't trade off of your brand. Um, Now, what you've accomplished with the federal registration is if you wanted to, you could have just registered your mark with the Maryland Secretary of State. They would have taken your trademark registration. You would have had rights under Maryland state law. Now, you registered on the principal federal trademark register. So, what happens when you do that, you get priority in your mark in not just Maryland, not just the surrounding regional places, but all the jurisdictions in the US. Um, so that's all the states. I'm pretty sure that's the territories too. But
Oh,
it just it enlarges your rights. So you also have under the Lanham Act, you have a right to sue people in federal court. You can sue people in the Trademark Trial and Appeals Board. For the Trademark Trial and Appeals Board, that's in administrative, like quasi-judicial tribunal at the PTO. So you just get more rights to stop people from trading off of your brand. And so another thing I was like kind of thinking about with trademarks and brands is, so, if you invent something and you get a patent and you trademark the name that you're going to sell that item under, that's your brand name, right? Like, um, what's a brand name? Like Sonos Rome, or just looking around for things like Nike Air Jordan. But the brand is more than just the name, right? The brand is like how you want people to feel when they think about your business and your products.
Hmm.
So, you can't do all of that by just the trademark registration, but it's an important step, because there are instances where people will try to trade off of that goodwill that you've built up around your brand. So, it is important to just protect your IP in that way and give yourself additional options to leverage against competitors.
Right, right. And you know what Greg did it for me when I was when we first got started and we were building out our website and we're thinking about these phrases and such. There's not many phrases out there that you can have that relate to something, right? And so we were doing this phrase about mortgages, and it was you know, three words. I'm not gonna say the words, but
Hmm.
um I remember seeing in my LinkedIn someone sort of from a mortgage company like kind of looking around, because if you have a certain level in LinkedIn, you can see who's kind of looking at your profile and stuff, right?
Right.
Someone from a mortgage company was looking at the profile, and then
Yeah.
I got a cease and desist um, letter from a large lender, maybe 2 or 3 months into me owning the business, and I was scared. I'm like, geez, what did I do wrong? Like, they're gonna shut my business down. And obviously I understand what cease and desist means, but they had gone through and they were looking at every single thing because they had seen it on our website. Like we had these three words listed, but these three words were something that they had already trademarked and registered, right, to match their particular brand. And so
Yeah.
they were basically like, we own this phrase, for lack of a better term, and we
Hmm.
want you to stop using it. And right now, we're not going to take any action on you, because we feel like that you didn't know, but in good faith, we're asking you to take it down. And pretty much, if we see it again, then we're going to sue you. And so that's what made me think about how important it was to do that. If there's a phrase that I want to be associated with our brand, then I needed to get it registered and trademarked like them, so that I could have my own. And so for selfish reasons and ego, I'm just like, yeah, I wish somebody would use my three words. I'm going to send them a cease and desist letter as well. But why does it take so long? So we'll talk about that on trademarks, and then we'll get into something else. But why does it take so long to actually get the certificate and the cert?
Well, just to piggyback off of your story real quick, you know, it's good that you went ahead and did the registration like sooner than later, because your priority date is important. So when you file the application, you tell the office, this is when I started using the mark. So assuming the registration goes through, that's your priority date. If someone else comes and files an application and says they were using that mark, the office is going to compare the priority dates. So now you have an earlier one. So if someone comes after you and tries to use your mark, you have the earlier priority date, so you should beat them. Um, so you should be able to stop confusingly similar marks. And that priority date is really going to help you succeed on that front. Now, the timing. So you file an application with the PTO, and I think it's pending for about 3 months before it's assigned to an examiner. So one reason why it takes time is the PTO has a core of attorneys, trademark examiners, and they will review every application, and it needs to has there's some legal requirements that the application has to meet. The most important of which is your mark. Well, not the most important, but a key one is they're going to look through registered marks and just also marks that are being used in commerce and aren't registered. And if they find any confusingly similar marks, then they will probably reject your application and give, like you had mentioned, they'll give you an opportunity to argue why your application meets the legal standards. But if they find a confusingly similar mark, that's not good. And then also, I don't know what your filing basis was, but you can file a trademark application based on one actually using the mark in commerce as of the date of the application. And then either this decade or early last decade, there's an additional basis added where you can apply for registration of a mark that you're not using yet, but that you plan to be using pretty soon. So for the intent to use, that's called intent to use basis. So for those applications, once it's examined and the trademark examiner approves your application, you have to file an additional affidavit that says, well, I'm using the mark in commerce now, so you can issue the trademark certificate and register the mark. Yeah, so I won't even dig in more than that. That's
Yeah,
it.
that sounds like a lot. Yeah, and so that's what
Yeah.
was happening throughout this entire year because I've been waiting almost. It was 11 months that it took to get through that process. Wow. Yeah.
Well, the other piece is I read an article. I think it was in like Harvard Law Review, but the author suggested that, you think like the English language, there's almost like infinite combinations of letters and words. Not infinite, but it's just like exponentially huge. And then you could also trademark designs. So you would think there's almost like a limitless universe of trademark eligible subject matter. But she was arguing that there's a fixed universe and also that there's a record number of filings right now. So there's just more applications that the examiners have to examine between themselves, and also there's just a lot of registrations to look through
I
to try
see.
to catch any confusingly similar ones. So that's part of it.
I see. I see. So you took a special exam or test um to become a patent attorney. Is that right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And then so why'd you do that? Like what was the importance of putting yourself I call it punishment. I know you like to learn and be smart.
Yeah.
And, you're in academia and all that good stuff, but like why'd you press forward with getting that done?
Yeah. So the patent bar. So to become a patent attorney, you have to be licensed as an attorney in some U.S. jurisdiction, and you have to have an engineering degree, and then or a hard science degree, and then you have to sit for a special test administered by the patent office, and it tests a little bit of patent law, and it tests a lot of like procedure for filing applications and um, the rules that the Department of Commerce made around the patent laws. So yeah, I got my undergrad degree in mechanical engineering from Ohio State. I worked for a couple years, went to grad school, and then I sat for the patent bar, and I passed it. So why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I wanted to go to. I just had aptitude for engineering. I think I knew before I knew engineering that I wanted to be an attorney. And then um, I just wanted to give myself options, I think. And then I find I find the subject matter interesting. I kind of like deconstructing things and putting them back together. I like puzzles. So it's
So
just
how
interesting to me.
so how's that relate to patents though? So because I know that's a something that's a passion of yours, and like you were excited about it. I can tell just from our conversations that we've had, and
Yeah.
helping startups and such. But like, um, how's it relate to what you just said? Like, putting stuff together and things of that nature. Like, so also tell us what a patent means.
Yeah, sure. Um, I like to think I like unpacking how things work and just like understanding stuff at a kind of granular level. So, um, a patent protects an invention. So, trademarks protect brands, copyrights protect original works of authorship like books, movies, art, football, basketball, your basketball broadcast. I'm sure someone had a copyright on that. Um, and a copyright protects you from other people performing your work or literally like it gives you the right to stop other people from copying your creative work. And a patent is for inventors. It was designed to increase the state of the art for our young republic America. It's based in I think like Article 1, Section 8, I want to say, of the Constitution, but they protect new and useful inventions, and the patentee can stop other competitors from making or using the subject matter of their patent. And the patent itself has, if I describe it in a nutshell, it's almost like an instruction manual for your invention. So the legal requirement is that it has to describe in sufficient detail that another person who had your same competence in that technical area could make and use your invention. And in exchange for you making that really detailed disclosure, you get a monopoly over the subject matter of the patent for 20 years from the filing date. So it's you get a limited monopoly, which is really powerful if you consider that um, our government has a whole antitrust division devoted to stopping monopolists, but you get a monopoly under federal law. So that's pretty cool. You could like literally stop competitors from doing what you invented. And a major way that people monetize their patents is by licensing the right to make it. So you can sell people the right to make and use your invention for a term for whatever amount you agree to.
That's a good point. Can I stop you real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have
I'm
an
stopped.
example? Do you have an example of that? Like where someone created a patent and then they, do a license to use your
um,
like who what would
oh,
be an example of that?
um, yes. So I'm trying to think what I can talk about on this case. So there was a company that developed a technology that um, had applications for like it had applications for the it had applications for the research entity that developed it, but it also had applications for like just normal people. So they entered into agreements with, so they didn't want to manufacture it. They made this technology, they own the IP, but they didn't want to just manufacture and sell it because that's like a whole different, you need a whole different infrastructure to do that, right?
Mhm.
So what they did was they licensed their right in this IP to the manufacturers. And the manufacturers were like, cool, well, I could take this technology and then put it on a substrate and then sell it because they had the infrastructure to, monetize it. Um, Also, another common example, like I have this I have this Sonos Roam speaker. So it is, you know, it's sold under Sonos, but the pieces in it are not all, I don't think they're all manufactured by Sonos. And what manufacturers will do, they'll get together, and like the component manufacturers will get together and they'll create what's called a standard. And all the component manufacturers agree to this like bulk license, and they'll say, okay, well, you can use my piece and use it at this fixed rate. And then all of the people will do that. And Sonos will license the right to make this, but also like Bose can make these, and like other manufacturers can make them, and they all pay according to that bulk license. But it's so that we have like more than one, we have competition with these speakers.
I see. But who owns like so the person that first invented the speaker, that particular like so there's all different brands of these portable speakers. Where do they fall in to this whole platform?
Oh, yeah, I was just trying to give an example of a license, but probably the first one that I used was better or more approachable.
Oh, they
So,
do, but as you're talking, like, forgive me, but I'm thinking like, all
oh,
right,
no worries.
now to crawl down the rabbit hole, like, what about the person that actually invented the portable speaker or whatever you want to call that? Because Sonos is not the only brand that does it. Like, you got JBL, you have, I don't know, whatever they are. Like, I think Amazon has something. They're all you got.
Right. So, yeah, within this thing, I think there's a bunch of different patented technology owned by separate entities. So they all get together, and there's a standard for like the pieces that you expect to be in a speaker. And they all like they create a license so that all the component inventors get a cut every time like Sonos makes one of these and sells them.
I see. See, I like that example actually, Greg, better than the other one.
Oh
that
yeah.
I do, because I'm thinking about, all right, cool. Like, how's this all? So if I invent something, right,
Hmm.
I get a patent or license, trademark, whatever you want to call it, on that thing that I invented. What happens if someone builds something similar to mine? Does it roll up to me, or can I just take my invention and kind of like pair it out to others? Like, that's what where my my thought process was, where my wheels were going with that.
So you're a mortgagor. So it's similar to like if you think about when you buy land, you get like I've always heard it described as a bundle of sticks, or that's what I remember from law school. So like you own the property. Let's say I come up to Shawn and say, "Yo, Shawn, I'm gonna be here for 2 years, and you're not living here. Can I lease it from you?" So you have the right to occupy it, but you could sell that right to me, and that's the lease, right?
And yeah, I can lease it to you. Yes,
For a
I
fixed
still own
term.
it. Yeah, but for a
Right.
fixed term, yes.
So that's how the license works too. I
Uh,
have the patent right to stop you from making it, but I could sell you the right and allow you to make it for a fixed period of time. So,
oh, I hear you. It's that easy.
yeah.
Well, not easy,
Yeah,
but
basically.
that's simple, like, to understand and comprehend. Okay, I get it. I get it.
That was better than my
No,
to
dude,
talk through that.
it all made sense to me. I just
Okay.
that's why I love doing this, and the way the format that I do it, because it's like a lot of people don't really understand. This is like me getting educated every time I interview someone. And it's more like I'm asking questions because I want to know as well for myself. So no, that's really good information. Um, two more things and I'll let you go and carry on with your busy day. Do you have any like famous inventions and patents and such, or that you would have been like, man, I would love to have worked on that? Have you thought about that?
Um, I have not, but I'm working on some. I wrote one for a startup based in Alabama. They're making a like disaster preparedness invention. Um, it uses renewable energy. and they're actually building like manufacturing plants. So they're building one here, and they're also building one in Africa, I think in Ghana. So, they have a mission to like empower diverse communities and communities of color. So I'm really excited that, I'm helping them build their IP portfolio and just make moves. Um, but there's a lot of cool technologies. There's a lot of innovations coming all the time. Um, yeah,
That's really cool because you get to sit back and you look at that when it all comes to fruition, and it's like, yeah, I had a part, played a part in that.
yeah, yeah. It's exciting. I'll, and when your opening story, you were just saying how excited you were when the trademark certificate came. I mean, that's it. I love that.
Yeah,
It's a big deal.
it was.
Um, it's the PTO, like we all pay for it. I mean, it generates enough fees that it can run itself, but it's a public facing agency. So they're here for us. They're not here to like shoot down all your ideas and deny every application. They're like literally supposed to negotiate just scope with you as long as you meet the legal requirements. So I just like that, man. I I think it's a great way to empower entrepreneurs and help entrepreneurs serve other missions that are important to them. And they're usually like build the community focused, at least the entrepreneurs I work with. So I love that.
Nice, nice. That's actually a pretty cool mic drop. So with that said, I'm putting you on the spot again too. So like couple things. Before we get into our last question and we close out. Greg, what do you need? How can we find you? And then also I want you to I'm challenging you to do those office hours that we talked about because Greg is a wealth of knowledge. I think if you get them one on one, like I've been able to do so, it's obviously engage in them with them because um his knowledge is worth something, right? And so Greg's generous and he'll offer time, but we were talking and he's putting together these office hours where similar to this, where you can come and ask a few questions and you point you in the right direction to make sure that you're set up for success. And so, Greg, how can we find you and use your services, right? And then, is it what can we do to help you?
All right. So I have I worked with one of your prior guests, Marvin Harris. So he got me hip to Calendly. So funny enough, I did just create a link for the virtual office hours. Um, so just like college, man, get 20 minutes with your teacher, the adjunct, whatever, and just discuss what's on your mind. So you can get there, calendly.com/Tinch Law. Um, so that's that.
Calendly.com/Tinch Law. Got it.
Tinch Law, yeah, TINCH. Yep. And I have a website, tinchlawmd.com. So there's, I was slacking. There's another Tinch that practices law, of course. So he had the domain Tinch Law. So I had to append my domain, tinchlawmd.com. But that's my domain. So that website's it's there. It's under construction. Should have a new site up in 10 days or so. But, you could get on my mailing list there. I send tips out, tips like this. Hopefully I have a blog. I hope it's not too in the weeds. I feel like sometimes I get esoteric. I'm a nerd, but and I'm on socials, Tinch Law. I'm on LinkedIn. I think my LinkedIn is JG Tinch. That's my personal, and then my business is there.
Okay.
LinkedIn, Facebook, Yelp, Google my business. Um, all the normal places.
Got it. Got it. So we just posted it up here. We're gonna put your Calendly up next. So Tinch Law MD. and you said Calendly slash would you say Tinch what? There,
Um,
Tinch Law right here. Boom. Calendly.com forward slash
yeah,
Tinch Law.
that's
Um,
it.
so yeah, no, being in the weeds is fine. It's great because you remember yesterday you were asking me all these questions, and I'm just like, Greg, I don't know. I can't answer them. I don't know. I don't know what happened and what dates were there. So no, being in the weeds is just fine. What do you need from us? Is what can we do to help?
You know, what I need is, I think I need help having your own business. You got to be like IT, COO, CEO, do all of the pieces. So I guess I need help like getting more efficient, um, get more efficient. So if I send out a survey and ask how things went, send it back, let me know how I did, how we can improve. Um, I think I started asking more questions because if I don't ask the questions, I have to call you back. That's not efficient, right? So, just trying to streamline and make IP more accessible for more founders and entrepreneurs. So just let me know how I could do that. I'm interested. I think my business is pretty agile, so I'm always open for feedback.
No, that's awesome. That's great. So everybody's listening. So Greg, we're obviously, like I mentioned here, clients and friends and intros to various forms of information. It'd be such a shame for me to have a great network and these people around and they not know about a Greg Tench. All my colleagues in the industry that own these companies and entrepreneurs that we deal with on a daily basis, to not to be able to protect themselves, right? You can't keep mentioning IP. And so here it is, another great resource for us to use. And so he's only asking for feedback. So when you engage with him, just be sure to give feedback. Last question, Greg, and then I'll let you go. You can hang on as I close things out. But you get one person, one question. Who would it be and what would you ask?
That's a really good question. Who would it be and what would you ask? Huh. I think you got me stumped a little bit. I, there were two autobiographies that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Um,
Only get one though.
I know I'm trying to pick between Frederick Douglass and Malcolm X.
Pick one. I don't have we had any either. I don't think we've had. No, we had. Never mind. I'm not gonna tell you which one we had. Just pick one.
Oh snap! All right, I'm sure.
We
I
had
would
one.
pick Malcolm X, man.
All
I
right.
would
That's
just ask him about like, what does it mean to you? You hear a lot of people talk about leadership. He developed like a huge audience. He was such a huge thought leader, and I would just probe him about like what leadership meant to him, and the things he did to be such a great leader. And I also wanted to say, salute to you, man. I I really appreciate this opportunity, and you know, you were saying that your guests take it for granted that they have knowledge that's valuable, and it shouldn't be taken for granted that like even if sometimes it's hard to find your voice.
yeah.
So I appreciate a forum like this. It gives people a voice and helps people find a voice.
Oh wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So to everyone, like I say every week, if I can help in any way, if I can help in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. I mentioned it before. It'd be such a shame to have these relationships like Greg, and keep them to myself, right? But also, Greg needs access to the people that we know as well. Stay as safe and as healthy as possible, and go Mason to continue to have a great season. And
Amazing.
we'll see you next Thursday. No, we're gonna be off next Thursday. It's Thanksgiving, so I'm gonna take that day off next Thursday. But I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. Remain grateful, and I'm grateful for everyone just tuning in to listen to us so every week. And um, have a good one. So, Greg, I'm gonna close out. I ask you to hang on for a quick second, but thanks again for your time today. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.